Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. As you can see, I was about to leave the house, and apparently Desmond Bane got traded from the Memphis Grizzlies to the Orlando Magic for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, excuse me, and 4 first-round picks, which is kind of fucking bonkers to me. Never in a million years did I think Desmond Bane would be worth 4 first-round picks. But apparently the Orlando Magic really fucking wanted him. Desmond Bane scored 19 points per game this past year, played, I think, 69 games, and shot 39% from 3 and 48% from the field. I think he's a great fit in Orlando. But I will say this, that's a lot to give up for Desmond Bane. It's a lot. The Memphis Grizzlies, I don't want to say they got better, but they definitely added depth. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope had a down year this year for Orlando after getting that contract that they gave him. He shot 34% from 3 this year, which is a down year for KCP. Only averaged about 8.7 points per game, which is not good considering the amount of money they paid him. Cole Anthony is a young point guard who's a little bit promising. I understand why the Grizzlies did this, just in case, he's kind of like their Ja Morant insurance policy, just in case something happens to Ja Morant. I think they look at Cole Anthony as a project player, as a guy that they could maybe turn into another Ja Morant, so, given the case that Ja Morant stuff keeps happening. But the 4 first-round picks is what really shocks me about this, because I'm like, 4 first-round picks seems like a lot to give up for Desmond Bane. Don't get me wrong, Desmond Bane's a good player, but, I think back to, the Luka trade, and I'm like, bro, if Desmond Bane was worth 4 first-round picks, what the fuck was Luka worth? You know what I'm saying? 8 or 9, maybe? That's insane. That's insane for me to think about. But I do think both teams, in some instances, get better here. The reason I say that is because the Grizzlies create a little bit of cap relief, not a whole lot, but they do create some cap relief by doing this. It's maybe $2 or $3 million. It's not a whole hell of a lot. But you get off of Desmond Bane's long-term contract. You get rid of 1 4-year contract to get back 2 guys with 2 years left on both their contracts, and you get 4 first-round picks. It's very obvious Memphis looks at the teams that are in the NBA Finals at the moment. You look at the Pacers, you look at OKC, and I said this originally, the Pacers and OKC are a bit ahead of the curve compared to everybody else, right? The new CBA makes it so it's very, very hard to have 3 max players on your team, or more than 2 of them. The rest of it all has to be depth. And the only way to really build a team anymore now with the new CBA is, you can have 2 star players. Fine. You can have 2 max players. But, okay, the thing is, a lot of teams are realizing that you need to have depth. Depth is what's going to win in this new era in the NBA with the new CBA. Everybody's understanding now that draft picks are worth a shit ton. Right? You look at the Pacers, right? Jarris Walker, Benedict Mathurin, Andrew Nembhard. Aaron Nesmith was a guy that they traded for in the Malcolm Brogdon trade. But teams are starting to realize that developing talent is the way that you're going to have to go in the future here. You have to be able to develop players and make them good if you want any chance to compete in this new era in the NBA. At least until they restructure the next CBA deal or whatever they decide to do. But it's very obvious you have to be incredibly star power heavy and not give a fuck about the luxury tax. And if you do give a fuck about the luxury tax, you have to be all in on draft picks and trying to find, players that are undervalued in the free agency market or in the trade market, guys that are maybe not getting the type of burn that they deserve, or maybe just would see more opportunity in a different location. Kind of like what the Pacers did with Jalen Smith originally in Phoenix. They traded for him. He was a guy that just rode the bench the whole time. And when he started getting minutes for the Pacers, was actually a pretty good player. Same thing with Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin was a diamond in the rough, right? Pacers traded the Knicks a 2nd-round pick, got themselves Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin's one of the best bench scorers in the league now. So people are looking at what the Pacers doing, and they look at what OKC did, and they're like, that's the model we need to mimic now. And Memphis is wasting no time. NBA Finals isn't even over yet, and teams are already making trades. They're trading Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic. I'm not going to lie, this is a trade that kind of came out of left field. I did not see this trade coming. I didn't even think that the Grizzlies were looking to move Desmond Bane because I actually think he's an okay player. But the problem is I think he's strictly an okay player. Yeah, he'll go out and get you about 20 points per night, but he's getting paid like $36 million to do it. So I think he'll fit really well next to Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner and all these other guys. Jalen Suggs. I'm very curious to see what happens with Jalen Suggs now, or like what's the deal with Desmond Bane? Like what's that starting five going to look like? I'm not really sure. Unless they plan on moving Jalen Suggs to the point guard position, which is maybe a possibility. I don't know. But Desmond Bane is also an okay defender. And Orlando really prides themselves on defense. So I will say this, the fit with Desmond Bane in Orlando seems like a good idea. It seems like a good fit. It seems like it'll work on paper. But Orlando is now at a point where they're going to start getting into maybe salary cap room is going to start becoming tight. And if you're Memphis, you get off a contract that you weren't thrilled with. You get back KCP. You're hoping maybe he has an up year compared to last year. Like 34% from three just seems a little bit unrealistically bad, if you ask me, for KCP. I get KCP is 32, Desmond Bane is 26. Desmond Bane is also significantly younger than Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. But at the same time, if you're Memphis, you're looking around the league and you're like, you know what, we need to free... Like, the way you win in the NBA now with the new CBA is you free up cap space, you find undervalued players, you find diamonds in the rough. Like, you actually have to go out there and look at players and make trades and try to find undervalued guys and build your roster that way and through the draft and everything. Like, now you actually have to kind of build a basketball team. I know that's crazy to say, where, like, it's not like baseball anymore where you can just go out and throw money at a player and they're coming to your organization. It's just not working that way. The NBA is not working that way anymore. And to be honest with you, I think this is good for the league. The reason I say that is because it's no longer really a case where the team with the biggest pocketbook wins. You look at the NBA Finals, it's OKC and Indiana, two very small market teams or medium market teams that they're not a Los Angeles, they're not a New York, they're not a Miami, they're not a Las Vegas. So you look at it and it gives hope to small market teams now where it's like, hey, we have a chance. And I think that was the whole point of the CBA, because for the longest time, the gripe has always been in the NBA that nobody wants to play in Indiana. Nobody wants to play in Minnesota. Nobody wants to play in Utah. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to play in Atlanta. But with the new CBA, it makes it so you can't just go out and throw money at players and build a team. Even Boston. Yeah, I get Boston is a juggernaut with the amount of talent they have and stuff like that, but they drafted Jason Tatum. They drafted Jaylen Brown. They traded for Derek White. I think they drafted Peyton Pritchard, right? A lot of the guys on that roster are guys that they drafted and developed, right? And they ended up becoming really good players, and then obviously now they're in salary cap space hell because they have to keep everybody around. But it's just the idea, Boston, I think, was the first to really do it. Well, OKC was the first to really do it, but it's just the idea, this has always been a trend, but the NBA wants to go more into that trend. They want the NBA to be more well-rounded, where it's you don't have the fucking Washington Wizards being one of the shittiest teams in the league every year, and same thing with Sacramento and Orlando and Detroit, right? You have your certain teams in the league that have just been bad for fucking decades, and they don't want that because they understand that if these teams are good, then more people will watch the sport. And so that's a way that I think you can look at this with the whole new CBA and everything, right? Teams are realizing how valuable draft picks are. They're realizing how valuable even those second-round picks become, because you could find a guy on a bench somewhere that's not playing and bring him in, give him some burn, and then he ends up being one of the best players on your team. Obi Toppin, for example, with the Pacers. So it's definitely interesting. It's pretty crazy to see teams that are already adapting to this. They're already understanding that in order to be successful now, it's not money that matters. It's how you build your team. And I like it. It's so Moneyball. You know what I'm saying? That's what I love about it. It's so Moneyball-esque. If you've ever seen the movie Moneyball, I highly recommend it. It's a really, really good movie. It's about the Oakland A's. But they were a low market team that, didn't have a lot of money to spend, but they went into free agency and found like undervalued guys in order to put a team together to get themselves deep into the postseason. I think it was like the I don't know. I forget. I don't even know what league they're in, but I just know like they got really deep into the playoffs. I think they got to like the pennant or something like that, but or that final game. But I love it because that's the vibe the NBA has now. The vibe the NBA has now is like you got to play Moneyball. You got to try to beat the fucking casino, and I love it. I think it's going to make the league better. I think teams are going to be a lot more careful about who they sign and how much money they sign them to, and teams are going to start strategizing, man. They're going to start like looking at teams' benches. Like, hey, like the Pacers did with Thomas Bryant as well. Hey, I see you, Thomas Bryant ain't playing much. You want a second round pick for him? I need him. Shit like that. So definitely entering a very, very interesting era in the NBA where second round picks could, add a prominent player to your team. Like suddenly did you ever think I'd be saying that? Like second round picks actually kind of matter now. Like the early second round picks finally have a little bit more meaning to them, or like the mid second round picks have a little more meaning to them than they did before. I think that's crazy. I think it's cool that like they've made it so you have to develop a team now if you actually want to be successful. And I think that's the way it should have always been. Like, I don't think any sport should be based around the fact like the team with the most money to spend wins. I just think that's fucking stupid. And it's nice to see that the NBA is going in that direction. It's nice to see that it's like you can have 2 max players, but don't go over that, because even the Nuggets are looking at Michael Porter Jr.'s contract right now and going, how the fuck do I get rid of that? Okay, so that's, depth matters. I'm going to tell you right now, depth matters. If you, like, bench players are what matters now in the NBA. Bench players, draft picks, and undervalued talent. So tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. A like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more on the Fast Break Report. And I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.